Rui ali.
Sim,
Prazer em conhecê-la. Obrigado. Sérgio.
Ok, podemos começar. Good evening, everyone. I would like to, on behalf of Docomomo, to thank you all for being here tonight in this another session of this series of lectures that we've been presenting on the figures of Macau that help shape the city of the 20th century. I will thank also Fundação Rui Cunha for again doing this event with us, and thanks especially Vitor that is flying all the way from Portugal specifically for this presentation. I know it's a big effort to do all this.
It was fantastic.
We are tonight. We are particularly pleased with
Sofia.
Oh, sorry, and Sofia. This is my bad. And Sofia, that originally was supposed to be here also. She could not join for personal reasons. So, so we found this creative way of bringing her to the room. Is not so present that I was forgetting to thank her to be part of this lecture. So we are particularly happy with this lecture because it will be about the work of Chorão Ramalho, that is one of the most prominent figures in the Portuguese architects in the modern movement, but also in Macau, because he has a significant body of work that is a reference for other architects here in Macau. And also because the focus of the lecture will be much about the former Pedro Nolasco School, that is now the Portuguese school, and being the Portuguese school especially for the people from Portuguese backgrounds, is something that we cherish in the city. Here in the Docomomo, we are all about, our aim is to bring professionals, to bring the scholars, to bring the stockholders, or everybody that is related to the environment of the architecture, the city, in this particular case of the school, in order to establish a dialogue with the authorities, with everyone that takes part in this idea of developing the city in a balanced way, in a balanced manner, and also those that are interested with the legacy that we and our parents leave for the future. And we're talking about, it is for us a masterpiece of architecture. It was built 60 years ago or more. So it's not a new, we say it's a modern architecture, but it's not a new building. So this is more and more becoming part of the legacy that Macau has to offer for future generations. And in this case, architect Vitor Mestre and architect Sofia Aleixo are not only architects that are experts in heritage, but they have this specific knowledge of the work of Chorão Ramalho, because Vitor Mestre worked with Chorão Ramalho, studied his work. Sofia also, she goes through all the spolio, I don't know how to say in
Documentation.
English, the documentation of Chorão Ramalho. So they've done multiple lectures and exhibitions on the lifetime achievements of Chorão Ramalho. So I think we could not have found a better team to talk about the work of Chorão Ramalho. So we hope that by bringing these two architects to the table of discussion and dialogue that we can offer and contribute for this ongoing dialogue about the Portuguese school, the importance of the Portuguese school, and of course the house of the Portuguese school in Macau, that is the building that was done by João Ramalho. This being said, I will better introduce the background of Vítor Mestre and Sofia. And Vítor Mestre is an architect with a degree from the Portuguese Architectural School as well. He has a master in rehabilitation of architectural and landscape heritage with a thesis about the popular architecture of Madeira. He has a diploma of advanced studies in theory and practice of urban and architectural rehabilitation, has a PhD in heritage of Portuguese influence in the theme of the vernacular architecture of Goa. Notably, Vítor Mestre has a significant body of research in the area of architectural heritage and vernacular architecture, construction technologies and typologies, and their conservation. And is author of several books on the subject of vernacular architecture in the territories of the Portuguese diaspora. Namely, the book about the architecture of Goa, this I'm going to say in Portuguese, A Casa, Contexto e Tipos. He also contributed to other books, namely the Portuguese Heritage in the World's Architecture and Urbanism, that is under the direction of José Matoso. People who's on the background of architecture and history in Portugal will know very well José Matoso. He served previously as a director on the Heritage Safeguarding and Revitalization Office of the General Directorate of National Buildings and Monuments in Portugal. Previously been part of the Candidacy Office of University of Coimbra for UNESCO, and is a founder, together with Sofia, of Vítor Mestre and Sofia Aleixo office, with multiple prizes and in the heritage, again, in the heritage of study of conservation architecture. Sofia Aleixo is a PhD from the Oxford School of Architecture, and she's a professor in the University of Évora. Also published multiple articles, specialized magazines, and published several books. She's a peer review, actually, at the Journal of Cultural Heritage Management and Sustainable Development. Participated in multiple architectural monographic and collective books. She works in the areas of heritage and architecture, with a special focus on the rehabilitation of buildings of heritage values. So, as Vítor, also founder of their own office, and with multiple prizes and awards in this area of rehabilitation and heritage. The stage is yours, Vítor.
Thank you. I'm very nervous because I cannot stay in my how to say, chair.
Yeah.
I like to speak walking, if you don't mind. I am not so good in English as Sofia, but I will try to be more specific. So thank you, and thank you for the Foundation Rui Cunha and also the Docomomo. And I'm very glad to be here, and to just because we love a lot João Ramalho as a person and as an architect. It was a very important person in our lives. We learned a lot with him, and let's start. So it's myself. I'm gonna tell some parts of the life of João Ramalho. He is born in 1940. He is from the interior of the Portugal. He studied in Coimbra, then he studied architecture in School of Porto. And he started to work with some important architects from his time, and he start to with his office with Nuno Teotónio Pereira, Manuel Tainha Menezes, architects from his own generation, and then he make his own office. The CODA is the PhD from the University of Porto. He make his first project is about Fisher neighborhood, and
I'm sorry, it's not the PhD, it's the bachelor, so it's the end of the course.
Okay.
Which was, yeah.
It's a pity she don't are here because he speaks lots better than myself, and she's gonna help me because I have to run
Sure.
first. This is this project, the first project he made in the school, and as you can see, it was a very detailed project. It will be one of the characteristics, most important characteristics of João Ramalho work, because his obsession of details. And you can see as a student, you make a lot of work. This is one of the first projects nearby the center of Lisbon, Restelo Commercial Center. It's a very beautiful building. It's 4 buildings, made a street with a commercial area. And this is the first time that Curubim Lapa, it was a very important artist, Portuguese artist. It was João Ramalho who invited him to start to draw and make azulejos. It will be the great Portuguese artist in that time. This is the interior of that complex. In the beginning of the 50s, the architect José Rafael Botelho is the man who made the Olivais plan. I don't think, do you understand my English or is it so bad? Okay. He started to go to Madeira Island with the hydroavião. He started to make his most important part of his work. It's in Macau and in Madeira. He worked in the same time in urbanism neighborhoods with Rafael Botelho, but he said, I don't want to be urban architect, I want to be an architect of buildings. And they start to make this fantastic work. It's one of the most beautiful buildings that he made. He started in Madeira. It's a chapel in a cemetery, and inviting all the time the most important artists like Guilherme Camarinha and Curubim Lapa. It is very important to pay attention of this because in all life of an architect, he work always with the artists, painters, sculptures, and so on. And they start to, in that project, you can see this grill. I asked to Sofia the name of this kind of, in Brazilian, Bogotós. But it don't work this way because this is the beginning of a new kind of thinking about to use the grills. It will, in all 50 years of work, he used this kind of grills. It's in Madeira Island, again with tails, with azulejos. And he started to make a very huge work with the central and thermal electrical buildings for Madeira Island. He started in late 40s, but he started to make these kind of buildings not the same way that it was done before him. He started to study these buildings as a very, how to say, special buildings with light, with big rooms for machines. But if you take away the machines, it looks like a cinema, looks like a fantastic saloons. They are very, very, very beautiful. This is the first one. And then he made a masterpiece. It's in the middle of the island. He drew the landscape. He made a new lake. And this time, it was very important because it's the first time they is traveling to Japan, to Nippon, and Japan, and to Macau. He have a very a big influence from the Orient. And you see this building, the way we made the integration in the landscape, and also the interior, as you can see, is a very fantastic space. If you take away the machines, it's an hotel. It's fantastic. And at the same time, he start to draw neighborhoods for these interventions in the middle of the landscape. And as you see, he start to pay attention also to the vernacular architecture of Madeira all the time, because in the beginning of his life, professional life, he start to give some support to the inventory of Portuguese vernacular architecture also. He don't work in the Inquiry, in the Inquérito Arquitetura Popular, but is one of the most important figures inside of the Architectural Association of Portugal. As you see, another electrical central. As you see, the building are very, very strong, and they start to work with the concrete outside of the building as a structure, and then he made the architecture, how to say, thinking about the structure all the time. Even the little thermoelectric buildings in another island, Porto Santo Island, it's very, very well done. And the church, this fantastic church, could be a central electric also. So the central electric is like a temple all the time. And if you go there, you feel this because you go inside and you feel the atmosphere of the ambience outside. It's so beautiful, it's so, how to say, kindly, the light. I'm talking about the church, but I could talk about the central electric. And as you say, this is the book of, how to put this? The book of Inquiry of Portuguese Vernacular Architecture, doing in 61. And he made this house, that beautiful house in 1559, with the interpretation and sophistication of the lecture they made about the traditional architecture of Madeira Island. All the time he support his architecture, doing like a tropical architecture, but he never do it, how to explain. Chorão Ramalho was a very tough guy. He have a very bad temperament. He's a convict man. He made, during 50 years, he made the same architecture all the time. And with the same conviction. And he do this, saying all the time,
I'm sorry, let me just interrupt to say, just to explain better what you mean by he has done always the same architecture. He hasn't, the same spirit, the same objectives, the same ruthlessness, the same aim for rigor, and the same aim for providing in this tough and difficult and strong image architecture to provide good places and well-being inside the buildings. So the spirit of the architecture is the same, but of course the results are not. Okay, just to make it clear. Thank you.
See, it's very difficult to live with her. As I say, what I mean, for instance, in that time, the traditional architecture, vernacular architecture in Portugal, have a big issue with some architects who make copies, not interpretations. And Churão Ramalho is very, how to say in English, tough, very direction man. He said, no, I don't make copies. I make my own interpretation. And I think the vernacular architecture can help me only in the part they are right to have a good quality of life inside of the houses. And they start to do this kind of, we call tapações or jalousia. Oops. Okay. Somebody help me.
And we should perhaps we should remember that at this time there was this Portuguese house movement from Raulino. So the idea of copying that Victor was talking about, of copying the traditional architecture elements.
I want to.
As you can see in Churão Ramalho architecture and work, you don't see any copy of the traditional elements, but perhaps you can see the copy or the use of the significance and of the values of the traditional architecture, but being reinterpreted by the contemporary materials and the contemporary life requirements.
Yes. In that time, are made also in the same time here that 3 houses or 4 houses very beautiful here in Macau, where is the Architectural Association of Macau. I stayed there today morning, and it's amazing that kind of patio. So 2 patios, and also you come inside of the door, and you see all the building, because you follow the lines around. Then it's not a wall, it's the house, it's the veranda, it's the top of the roof. It's fantastic because everything is there in a perfect dimension. And they made this that you can see here. He made this kind of control of light and humidity, and he made some. I say we talk this afternoon. We talk interposition in between. He made berries for make the lower temperature and have this kind of vegetations inside. He kept the.
So it's, if I can help you, it's a device, a structural and architectural device that can control light and temperature in specific climates. I think that's what you wanted to say.
Because the idea of tropical architecture that I'm going to speak a little more later, it was the issue in the 50s. Some 2 Portuguese architects study in Association England.
Architectural Association
in London.
Tropical architecture.
Tropical Association, tropical architecture. And Churão Ramalho said all the time, no, I don't make this kind of architecture, but I care about the tropical architecture, but not this way. I made it by my way. This is one of the simple houses they made in Madeira. It's a Sinks house because it's almost 2 open space outside in the first floor and around the land. This is the bathing complex in Porto Santo Island. And this is one of the pearls of his architecture. This is a school. But at the same time he made the school, he made that house and the houses in Madeira, in Macau. In that time, he traveling around the world. He's traveling to Japan, to the United States, and traveling to Madeira and Macau in the same time. This is a very, very wonderful architecture, but for me, is the most important school for little children in Portugal. He made all this with the scale of a child. A child are here with this the height, and the adult are here. And if you visit this house with this school with the children, is fantastic because you see happiness for everything. The kids go climb these little pieces, and this is the lessons, the interior of the school. But in the summer, because of the weather is too hot, opened, and you have the school. The
playground. May I just add, so that because I'll mention this school later, and because you mentioned that for you it's the best, I would say, and for me, work by João Ramalho. It's now the only listed building by João Ramalho. The listing process started in 2020. In 2021, it was acknowledged the value of the building as an architectural example of the 20th century architecture. Yeah.
Okay. It's a very, very beautiful playground.
And again, it's a device to control the weather, because Porto Santo is very dry and very hot, and all the shadow that João Ramalho provides to the children, not by trees, because again, the climate, it's not very friendly of
But you have one tree by a courtyard.
Yeah, just one to be. But the thing is, it's what I want to say, because I study also teaching and education environments. I think João Ramalho triggered the idea of learning in informal environments by bringing the classroom outside. The teachers could teach outside or inside. The environment outside, I would say, it's much more appealing to kids because it has these different scales, these different elements, these different ways of approaching the walls and the building and the space, and to explore the space freely. And this is something that I think we should remember, that when this building was designed, I think I have the sorry, I don't have the date here, but it's there, right? You
69.
can see it, 59? 59,
59.
right? Oh, yeah. You must think that at this time, in the mainland and in Madeira Island also, and in the Açores, the buildings for primary schools that were being built were so different. So it was the classroom and the teacher providing the education to the kids, the playground and the surveillance. So completely different atmosphere for learning here.
We think they could make this school here because nobody go there to see what they are doing. Because it's a small island, it's very far away in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so he made what he wants. And he all the time said to the politics that he made what he wants. If you don't want, don't invite me. It's very frontal to the politics. And I have to say a very important thing of this school. Just because of the interpretation of the traditional, the vernacular architecture, the roof, this roof have land, like soil, because it made the temperature lower with 4 centimeters of soil. It's the traditional architecture in this island. Don't have tiles, have soil, because in the winter the rain came and closed the fissuras, how to say, the gaps, and in the summer opened the gaps, and the temperature, the air inside go through the roof. It's fantastic. These more two big buildings they made in Madeira Islands in the time. And this is the first the first project he made to Macau. He don't be constructed. It was an hotel. You can see the place. You recognize the place and that fort. Fort Nossa Senhora do Bom Parto. Yeah. In the same time he tried to make a new hotel also in Madeira Island, and it's the characteristics of the big buildings. He made an embasement, a big and strong embasement, and then you make the building, as we talk with architect Maneiras about this. It's one of the most important building you do is the place. Don't have. And in the same time, he made this hotel in Madeira with this, how to say again, the jalousias, and made spaces to have low temperature inside of the building. It draw everything, as you see, everything. In that moment, I think is some influences about the hotel they stay when they go to Japan. The Imperial Hotel, he stayed there all the time. He came to Macau, he stayed here a few days, and then he go to Japan to Imperial Hotel, and then he go to Auckland to United States. In that time, he can pay a ticket and stay more time that he need, and then he made around the traveling. And this is the time he made this kind of journeys. This is a very important experience he have here in Macau. Again, with the vernacular architecture. It's the houses for refugees in the Green Island. They have a big fire, and the people lost these houses. He made an inquiry with the population before he made the project. It was fantastic. He tell me and Sofia give us the project because for him it was a very important issue to help these people. He made the inquiry, he made the project, and he studied all the possibilities with some how to say common kitchen for 2 or 3 families, common bathrooms for 2 or 3 families, because it was a project due for 4 or 5 years. Then he made the construction, and 1 year later he came here and made a new inquiry to the population to know if they are satisfied or not with the project. And meanwhile, he made which will be the, como é que se diz, Sofia, o bairro definitivo.
He designed the
permanent
neighborhood.
Yes,
but let me just add that perhaps this might be one of the first Portuguese architects doing post-occupation evaluation, which is something that it's not common in our profession and definitely not common in Portugal.
Yes, he studied a new neighborhood, again with the people, with the experience they have living there during 1 year, and the people write what they don't agree and what they expect better, and pay attention of this and make new kind of apartments, in this time with kitchen, individual kitchen, and with individual sanitaries. And unfortunately, it doesn't made it. It's the notice of this time with the neighborhood for refugees, and they start to make another kind of projects here the for houses. Now it's the Architectural Association of Macau. It's fantastic. For me, it's the best, one of the best projects of Chorão Ramalho. It's so beautiful. I'm very pleased to know that Macau Association restored the building, one of these houses, and they are very perfect, very beautiful.
That is great. I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
Great.
Unfortunately, I don't have the photos because today it was my first time in that house. But we take out from the internet these pictures, and they are fantastic. Even the tower for employers of the municipality of Macau, I stay there today, and I pay attention one thing inside of the first floor. I saw pictures and a recommendation of the people who live there that the building have more than 60 years and they have problems. And make pictures of the problems, the steel, how to say, à vista. This is strange because Chorão Ramalho all the time said, I made architecture for 100 years. I don't believe in architecture during 5, 10, 20 years. No, I made strong, forever. In that time, they believed that the concrete is forever. But now you know it's not forever. It's a big issue. We, myself and Sofia, doing for free for the family of Chorão Ramalho. When they ask her, the family, to help with issues like this, we go there and try to help the persons, the people, to recuperate it well, the buildings. In that time, you see, forget this. This is the scale of Macau in that time. Arquiteto Maneiras, it was a long time ago. Now it's the double, more than the double of the scale. It's impressive. In that time, he called tower. Now it's a little building. And what the news about this important building?
Just a note on this news. As you can see, it's handwritten by Raul Chorão Ramalho, so he kept all the records of the news published in newspapers from his works.
Yep. The big problem, the people who live there, is this. They have a grill. The grill is very thin, very beautiful, but very thin, and the concrete get out of the steel. And also, this pergola have the same problem. And another buildings in that time, in 10 years, he made the most important buildings of his work here and in Madeira Island. You have Ave Maria's School, and the tower, and the little houses in the same period.
I'm sorry, but I have to say, sorry again for interrupting.
No, please.
But in last page, you can see that he had 4 works at the same time, simultaneously being published and being built. And that's hugely important for a Portuguese architect to be doing this architecture in this period in Macau.
This is the creche, the Ave Maria School. Now Arquiteto Maneiras também acompanhou esse, não? In that period, he traveling around these places, and he made a very beautiful project for Auckland for an exhibition, international exhibition, but unfortunately, it doesn't construct the.
Doesn't build.
Yes, it doesn't build. And this is why we believe that Japan architecture, it was very important for him. In that period, even the Portuguese magazines pay attention to this architecture. In the same time, the Portuguese architects are lots of influence about the Brazilian architecture and Indian architecture. Is the period of that famous book, Brazil Builds, and the Portuguese architects who live in Africa made a very beautiful and imponent architecture by the influences of Brazil, but Chorão Ramalho never do it, never. Maybe it's the only architect in Portugal who pay attention of this kind of architecture. I think he know some of these architects in reality. These are magazines from his office. And as you see, this beautiful lobby of this building, you're going to see some similar on some buildings of Chorão Ramalho.
May I add just one note on these magazines? We also have seen, you don't have to go back, it's fine. We also have seen magazines from Nuno Teotónio Pereira. And the interesting part is that Nuno Teotónio Pereira used to write in the magazines. He wrote some notes on some specific issues. And Chorão Ramalho never wrote on the magazines. It's interesting to see.
I can.
You are
want to
far away ahead. You need to go back.
To back.
Back.
More back?
Yeah, that's where you are. Yeah.
Yes. See, he also buy these magazines about traditional architecture of Japan. Just because it's an architect who likes so much to draw the little details, all these houses, traditional houses, the patio houses, like the temples and the houses, look, this is modern architecture, but it's traditional architecture. You pay attention of this, and maybe made some, how to say, citações in English.
He quotes many of these details. He was a construction architect. He really liked, and the details in each project are amazing.
And it's a book that we consult now only to explain what the architects in that time is evaluation of the tropical architecture. I speak with Arquiteto Maneiras who told me that he used this in the school of Porto to understand the light, the temperature, the sun, to make the architecture. And Chorão Ramalho do the same, of course, but he never tried to be so fundamentalist because he wants to make his own architecture. So, Sofia, can you...
On that note, there was a recent exhibition in Cultural Center of Belém here in Lisbon about the primary school of Porto Santo, and the original drawings of Chorão Ramalho were there. And an interesting thing is that he had these solar schemes, but very simple solar schemes on the drawing itself. So he really wanted to express the concern about the temperature and the solar, the shade and all this in the same drawing. Yes, these are the kobogos. That's what you were waiting for me to say, Victor?
Yeah, more or less. And this is a building in Madeira. Nobody knows that is, or a few people knows this from Chorão Ramalho. And you see it's Japanese architecture. It's one of more directly from this time. And he made his big, it's, how to say, quarteirão, it's a block of the social security of Madeira Islands, and you see the expression of this architecture and the magazines from Nippon, Japan with some similar things. And you can see this skin also, because you have almost 2 meters where the building are in reality. This is not a veranda to go to the veranda. It's in between spaces, between
the blinds and
Yes.
the windows of the building. I would call
just
the
a moment.
attention to that image.
Even the
Yeah.
place, this is habitations, even this have almost 2 meters, never get to the sun directly. And you have these jalousias in Madeira Islands, the name is tapações,
Blinds.
Blinds, to have the control of the 80% of humidity sometimes. And,
But before you move to the next one, just call the attention to that slide, because that architectural expression he uses in this building, he'll be using the same or similar, I would say, in Azores and in Setúbal when he makes the other 2 projects for the Provident Fund of each of these cities. So
And
those
the-
3
and
buildings
here-
are very important.
and here in Pedro Nolasco.
And here, of course, yeah. But there you are there.
The interior is one of the cases that we help the social security to preserve the atmosphere of this. We recuperated the furniture, we recuperated everything. It's possible to put it well again. And this is one of the most important buildings of Chorão Ramalho. It's in Setúbal city in Portugal. It's a big block with a big square inside. As we see, it's the square will make the transition of the temperature, regulation of the temperature of this big building. And the big hospital in north of Portugal. And some magazines that start to present the work of Chorão Ramalho in Portugal. Big blocks in Madeira Island, always with the work of the artists, Portuguese artists. And in the same time, doing the work here in Madeira, some magazines in Portugal start to give attention of his work, because it's a very singular work in the context of Portugal. This is you can explain better than myself where and Chorão Ramalho.
What, the Olivais plan?
Quando a machucava os documentos que nós apanhamos.
Oh, yes, sorry. That's an example of something that I'll mention later, but just to get your attention now, that drawing, it was smashed by Raul Chorão Ramalho later on when we were working on his archive. I'll explain it later, but just to now let you know that this was a saved document and a saved drawing and a saved piece of cultural heritage that we could preserve from the garbage bin in the office. I'll explain it later.
Yeah, and we at last the school, the monument, real big monument, I think is one of the most important buildings of Portugal. For me and for Sophie, of course, this building must be classified as a national monument of Macau, of course, not of Portugal, but of Macau. It means it's the syntax of his work are in that building. I was inside for the first time. I could see the school because in '99 I stayed here 1 week, but nobody let me go inside. It was a very pity, but 22 years later, finally I go inside. And it's fantastic because of...
I'm sorry, Victor, just go back one slide if you don't mind. Sorry. Yeah, that's one. just to acknowledge that in this article in the local newspaper, it's mentioned the civil constructor, and I think there will be a conference by Docomomo about this special person in Macau, in the building environment of Macau.
And Sofia said this because Raul Chorão Ramalho mentioned a lot Aconchi. You have a very fraternity relation with him. It was a fantastic man. The inauguration of the school. And the most important thing of this school is, for me, is again this part, because nobody used the veranda, because the veranda is not for use. It's only for make the climb a better climb. I go inside now, yesterday, and the children are in the school, in the classrooms, and you feel that a little. You open the door a little of the classroom, and you open these doors there, and just because you have the, I don't know,
blinds.
Yes, you feel the air going past through. So you don't need conditional air. It's
Natural
fantastic.
ventilation.
Yes, so it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I don't have good pictures because in that moment. And this is why we put this picture here, because Chorão Ramalho have a very friendly relation with Oseo Aconchi. He mentioned lots of times that it was a very important person, and I didn't know that architect Maneiras was one of the architects who made the relation with the Aconchi and Chorão Ramalho during the period of the construction. It's fantastic to know this and have you here. Thank you.
And just to let you know that here in Portugal, we are also aware of the issue raised by the facade of the Hotel Estoril, and that the family was there to preserve it. So I hope you can really preserve it, and we are with you in this fight for preserving the heritage of Macau.
Interior of gymnasium. And the work of Chorão Ramalho here in Macau, there are several works and very important. And I hope your work could make some, and the work of Docomomo Macau help to preserve this architecture. So now, Sofia, okay?
Because we've been talking about the buildings in Macau, but he also built in Brasilia. He built the Portuguese embassy. And Victor, you can go on and pass the images. I was there in September. I took these pictures myself, and it was very good to see that the building has been preserved. There are several issues about the blinds, some of them about the concrete and the tiles. You can go on. But the ambassador and the team there is very concerned about how to preserve the authenticity of the building. Although they are going to add a ramp for wheelchairs in the main facade. I haven't seen the project. They said that they are being very careful about how to do it, and they are going to use the same structure and concept used in Gulbenkian in Lisbon. So hopefully it will be something that will not have a very big impact. And of course, mobility is essential in public buildings. We understand that, but we hope that it will be a sensitive intervention, because as you can see, the building is intact and authentic in all these elements, the tiles, the
Uh-oh.
and everything. You can go on. Yeah, that's the auditorium, and that's just some images in the inside, and always this connection to the exterior, this transparency. Although the building is very dense because of the concrete, when you are inside, you don't feel this density. You feel it's a light building, it's a light space, it's very airy and very spacious. So that's very important in cultural Hawaiian work, I think. And here you have an image, because we are now in the 80s. The embassy was built in the 70s, but now in the 80s, his son Pedro Chorão Ramalho, a painter, a very well-known painter with an amazing work we admire very much. In this decade, for the first time, we think he made this painting about the desk of the architect, of his father. You can see the T ruler, I think that's how you call it, and the white paper below. So like an homage to the architects and particularly to his father. He also in these decades, in the 80s, 90s, he's invited by his father to include a piece of work by him in one of the Caixa Geral de Depósitos, the bank that Chorão Ramalho built in Portugal. He built 3 banks in Guarda, Leiria, and Fundão, and he invited his son to include one of his works there. And then in the 80s, if you could pass to the next one, please. In the 80s, that's when, and you can pass the next 4 just briefly. So that's when the Customs House is intervened. So it's a building with the Manolin elements and Pombalin elements too, and Mudajar ceilings. And Raul Chorão Ramalho, I would say, makes his first intervention of conservation of an historic building. It's a monument listed listed in 1943, and Raul Chorão Ramalho preserved the integrity of the building and builds the assembly in an extension with a very strong affirmative shape. So it's an exercise about form. Victor, yeah, there you can see the plan. So it's very it's like making a statement of the opposite of the historic element, preserving the historic element, no doubt, but bringing to the new building, to the assembly, a new language, and a very strong one, as you can see. Inside the assembly, in the next slide, you can see the...
One moment.
Yep.
Now it's my time. No, why he always think about the weather and think about how to climb, and the climatization of the conditioner air go to lower temperature because he made a water circuit, and this is the circuit of the water to getting lower temperature. So you in the springs, I don't know the name in English, I'm sorry, but in the roof he made a system with the water, and the water, when get very hot, go outside to get lower temperature, then go inside again. Just because of that you have this cascade there, the water are always circulation. Go on.
So this is a work that has been built between 85 and 87. And as you can see here inside the assembly, there is a reminiscence of the Mudajar ceilings in somehow through this, not transparent, but to this light ceiling. And in 1998, in January, Victor and Isabel Ribeiro, me and Pedro Chorão, we brought this amazing exhibition to the assembly, to his original building. It's his first monographic exhibition that was designed and thought and conceived in Casa da Cerca in Almada in 1987. And now we start going back from the 80s and understand the importance of his work acknowledged in a local paper that finally an architect of the world, and we really like this title because if he really is an architect of the world, and here is the ICA prize. He received the ICA prize as a result, as a consequence of the exhibition in Casa da Cerca. And in the next slide, you can see that the President of the Republic that visited Macau in 1997, in an official visit, was honoring him with a decoration with the Order of Infante Dom Henrique, the officer's degree in Casa da Cerca, in the exhibition itself when he went to visit. This exhibition, which you can see, just by the way, in this moment when Sampaio, our president, Jorge Sampaio, went to Macau, he took with him a letter written by important, relevant architects like Nuno António Pereira. Victor participated also in this letter, asking for Pedro Nolasco to be acknowledged as important and to prevent being demolished, because at this time it was already being talked that it could be demolished. And he brought this letter with him to Macau. And well, I don't know if the letter had any impact, but the reality is that the building is still there. This exhibition had this catalog, which I have here with me. We preserve it very, very deeply. We wrote in this catalog about his work, and particularly, and going back again, we talk about, and you can pass, we talk about the work we did since 1994 till this exhibition in 1997 with his documents, with his collection in his office. So in the next slide, you see Victor and Raul Chorão Ramalho in 1997, when I and Victor were working trying to gather the collection of his texts, photos, and drawings. We could collect 545 units, don't pass. 545 units that in the whole make the estate of Raul Chorão Ramalho archive. And this archive has documents from 1939 till 1993, and perhaps some documents from 1995. It also has some models, and it was given to CIPA, to the archive in October the 26th of 2004, 2 years after he passed away. Raul Chorão Ramalho, in the photo below, it's me, many years ago, when he received the honorary member of the Order of the Association of Architects. He was talking with Rafael Botelho, and they were talking about getting rid of all the documents they had in the office. Why do we have all this paper? This is just paper. The important are the buildings themselves. So the drawings and the texts and all this is not important. So let's throw this all away to the garbage. And that's why I mentioned that drawing before, because while he accepted that me and Victor were there in the office alone, taking care of his drawings and trying to collect the things so they could go to an archive. But at the same time, he didn't want the drawings to be given access, and he didn't believe in the research potential of his documents. So providing the accessibility to these documents now in CIPA, it's very important, and we are very proud of the work we did with Pedro Chorão Ramalho, because sometimes when he starts, smashing the drawings, we had to call his son or Victor, and Victor or his son would take him to another room, and I would pick the drawing from the garbage bin and, pass it with the iron and keep it and save it. So it was a teamwork for all those years, and it was an amazing work and an opportunity for me. I've just finished my course at the time. So the next slides are about some publications where the work of Raul Ramalho has been disseminated. Most of them are in collective exhibitions. This one about the buildings for the security welfare of Portugal. 3 of the buildings are from Raul Ramalho, and Victor and Nuno António Pereira and João Paulo Martins, which I cherish a lot. He was a colleague of Sergio. And they made this wonderful book about this type of buildings in Portugal. We cannot talk about Raul Ramalho without talking about Emanuel Gaspar de Freitas. He's a defender, as we are, from Raul Ramalho. He's an historian. He lives in Madeira Island, and he's making an amazing work also there to preserve his work. The next slides are about this is an article we have written recently in December 2022, where we talk about all the campaigns to preserve the school Pedro Nolasco, and we also mention it in this article. And of course, the school in the next slide has been already identified in the Heritage of Portuguese Influence, the website, and of course it's there. And also it's good to know that the Open House Macau in 2018 has promoted a visit to the building, which highlights his heritage potential and the importance of living this building for the future, as Sergio was mentioning in the beginning. The next slides are about these efforts by Docomomo Macau in 2020 to protect the building, and about the possible loss of character in this article. And the next one also mentioning the preservation of modernist architect buildings, that it's important to preserve the historical importance, the aesthetics, the architectural concept, the symbolism, and the scientific importance and social importance, as Rui Leão has mentioned in this article. So the next one is, of course, to talk about this amazing initiative of Docomomo Macau, of Sergio, Tiago, Rebocho, and of course Rui Leão in 2022, of launching this book. And the next one again, also the dissemination, using the book to disseminate the importance of preserving the building. The last 2 slides are about the news that have been published in Public, our local newspaper, our national newspaper in Portugal, in January when Raul Ramalho died. And I'm sorry, I would like to read this part. With greatest simplicity, Raul Ramalho said that architecture is first understanding a place, then solving problems, always seeking beauty. And he dedicated half a century of his life to that. He passed away on Wednesday, aged 87, at his home in Algiers, following a stroke. He leaves a vast public work, hospitals, schools, social security centers, even hydro and thermoelectric plants, an embassy, a chapel, a hotel that covers the entire Portuguese territory, including a fundamental nucleus in Madeira, and extends via Brazil or Macau, where you all are now. From this heritage, colleagues and critics highlight, in addition to great technical knowledge, an ethical and aesthetic requirement in understanding what a public building should be. And quoting Victor, that it's there with you, I would say he's the greater architect of public works. So the last slide, the final last slide, it's about this article that Victor wrote when he died, and it was a very sad moment for us, but at the same time, it's a privilege to be talking about his work and trying to preserve his work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor, for this
my bad English.
Uh, no, I think it was very comprehensive, all the presentation. Sophia corrected
Yes, I tell you.
where you could not reach. I think just to summarize that when we talk with you and ask about this opportunity of having this conference about the work of João Ramalho, we briefly talk about making the presentation of the Portuguese school in the context of the work of João Ramalho. And what I can say now is that I'm completely overwhelmed with the significance of his work, because we all know here the work of João Ramalho in Macau, but personally, I don't know if anybody else in this room had the idea of the scope of his work and the quality of his work. So I think we have to thank you and Sophia for having this wonderful presentation, and that shows the importance of the not only of this school but other works he has here in Macau. So thank you, Victor. Thank you, Sophia. And I think I opened Kel, if somebody has questions for Victor, either Victor or Sophia.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your presentation. I was thinking when I look at that Parliament Assembly in Madeira, that extension that has nothing to do apparently with the building it was connected to. What I'm thinking is what we are living here in Macau, and the Portuguese architecture faced it in Goa long time ago in Brazil, and it's going to face again in Macau. The preservation of this kind of buildings depends on the commercial value of the land, the political approach, and of course the Portuguese community lobby, etc., that is diminishing, and it's going to stay there. So preserving these buildings, my question is, can we concede on the scale, for example, to preserve some part of it and make it a net value in the center town? Or is it opening a Pandora box that we don't want to face it?
Sophia.
I'm not quite sure if I understood the question. I believe that you're
thinking about the commercial value of the land in center town. Sometimes even on the function of the building, because this school is small for the future that we foresee. If we change the scale of the building, preserving what it is today, is it something that we can approach when we negotiate with the political power, or is it opening a Pandora box architects don't want to face?
I suppose it's the way. I'm sorry, Sophia. Let me say first.
Sure.
Then you correct me.
Okay.
Okay. I believe the architecture is not to preserve the integrality if it's not possible. It's a way to save the building. Okay, why don't we made a renovation? Talking with Sergio, we remember what happens to the beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright, the Guggenheim have an extension now, and the people in the beginning, they are against the intervention. Made the context and the architect to win, it make a good work and preserve the symbol of that museum and make a big extension lower. So when I stay yesterday there, I see that space, open space to the ginásio, and said, okay, if they have to have a tower here, or a big extension, it's here. It's a possibility. Why? Why not? Preserve the patios
main
and
building,
the main
preserve the
building, and then in the gymnasium make a tower, and like we made here in Macau. The rotation of the sun helps. Don't have problems there, because in the oest the sun goes down, goes to the interior of the patio without problem. But if you made a new building in all the extension of the school, it's better to put it down, because it will be a disaster. So I think it's a solution. And maybe when we need to make a good negotiation, it's better make ourselves the solution, not came the solution outside.
And if I may add, I know that's a sensitive issue with Pedro Nolasco. I think any adaptive reuse intervention is welcomed when a building becomes obsolete for that function, and it's a way of preserving the building, adapting it to a different function, of course. Extensions of buildings are always a solution when there is land, as Victor was saying, deciding where is the best place to make this extension, and the scale of the extension, the proportion of the new building and the formal relations it established with the existing building are crucial for a successful adaptive reuse of an historic building, an heritage building. This you can read that in any charter and in ever documents on how to extend or criteria or best principles or best practices. You can find it everywhere. It's not easy to do, but it's possible. And as Victor was saying, I think the main issue is understanding the values of this building and not losing the values of this building. And you can do that with an extension. That's not impossible. But it first needs to be clearly understood what should be preserved and where is the authenticity of this building.
I should congratulate you for the fact that having in view something that may happen, it's important to have the substance, the knowledge of what's there. Because if we have the knowledge of what is there, then we can better decide. That's why the first step is yours. And I congratulate you for that. That's a better, having that in being in possession of that, it's a good support to decide in future. Regarding the other works that I didn't know about Chorão de Ramalho, the school in Lisbon, in Macau, has something similar to the school in Porto Santo. There is a row, there's a wing of classrooms that have intervals with patios. These patios are exactly the same size as the classroom. And these patios are in between two classrooms, but also each classroom has two patios on both sides. So the possibility of having classes outside is possible for each of these classrooms that can also join the classroom that is opposite, and also can join the patio that is on the other side. Regarding, and this another thing which is we can pick up from this image, cooling the structure with the water flowing on the roof in this building in Madeira, in Funchal, is somehow elaborated and decorative, but something more basic happens in these buildings because the water is collected inside the roof and then thrown out with gargles, concrete gargles, that throw to a roof at a lower level. And then it goes on and on and on. So there is this circulation but it's rather formal, constructive, let's say. But the circulation is still there, of water flowing from level to level, of roofs that are adjacent, but in a different level. Well, this is adding to what you brought.
Thank you.
Let me one brief note. I think the innovative learning environments that Raul Chorão Ramalho brought to education spaces are a challenge for teachers now, because we most of us, I would say, learned in a very closed classroom. You had the classroom, you had the playground, you had time to be in the classroom, time to be in the playground. So it was a very compartment. And I think the challenge of using these spaces today for teachers, it's an amazing opportunity to teach differently, and students and kids and children to learn differently. So why not use the opportunity of the existing spaces? You don't have to adapt the use, perhaps the use of the space, perhaps you have to adapt the way you use the space for teaching and learning. I'm sorry, but schools are my topic.
Can I say one thing? Another important issue about Chorão Ramalho and is social dimension in architecture. In the public buildings, he stopped in Portugal a very strange word, quiché. You know what is a quiché? The singular citizen goes to a public office and he have to pay, he have to
Bend.
Yes, because the public functionaries are in a level, superior level, have a window, glass, and a very difficult,
A small hole to talk
yes.
to. Well,
and you
with the
don't
pandemic,
understand
we all
nothing
had
what
that.
the people said to you. And he said all the time, no, the public office is the people in front like this.
At the same level.
At the same level,
working at the same
without glass, talking in the open space, not in the individual spaces. It was the first architect to make this in public offices, with a very strong tough with the government, because it is all the time. I don't make this, okay? I made a new kind of relation between the citizen and the public officer. It's amazing what he do in that kind of revolution in Portugal in the 50s. He tried to make the same in the schools, of course, because the politics of Portuguese schools are the teacher are a god all the time, and you have feminine places and masculine places all the time, and they try to
Abolish.
yes, it's fantastic what he, and that sometimes I don't understand how could you do this, because he worked for the state. All the projects of Chorão Ramalho are almost for the state.
May I say? May I? Hello. I would like to say, well, first of all, Vitor and Sofia. My name is João Paulo. We have met some years ago.
Yes.
At least Vitor. Sofia, I'm not sure about that. We have met before. But thank you very much for your presentation and your talk. It was very inspiring, and I see a lot of things we have in common. And I would like to establish some parallel routes since we are talking about schools right now, and about preserving memories and cultural relics. I also had the opportunity to salvage some of the drawings of my grandfather, Vitor Pala, in the same conditions that you had. on the floor picking up not only drawings but negatives and stuff like that. But more importantly, talking about schools, there is a school that I believe you know that was designed by Vitor Pala and Bento Almeida in Olivais Schule that had that relation of having a vegetable garden for each of the classrooms in order to have the students to take care of the vegetables along the seasons and the flowers and everything. So each classroom had one specific and dedicated garden, vegetable garden, that then I think, as I was mentioned, it was used for some years, but then it was abandoned, the idea. But so then it's just like a playground after all. So it didn't work out pretty well. And that school also had an innovation of being one of the first schools, I believe, that put together, boys and girls. So I remember to see the first drawings of this project where the girls were separated from the boys, but by the end of the project, the drawings changed dramatically in order to put them together. So, and it was built like that, and it was in 61, I believe, 1961. So I just wanted to bring this to the table and to share with you.
It's a Portuguese reference, this school. And that from Olivais and from the other one is the Val Escuro. They are the icons of the modern schools of Lisbon and of Portugal.
Exactly. And that one was also mixed already.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
However, Val Escuro has been intervened recently and there are some issues there.
Don't respect the architects, yes.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't been there for many, many years.
We have a teacher there, a friend, and that teachers know that we love the school and came with us and said, they are made bad things, please help us. And we try to make some attention of this, talking with some people, but the problem is the municipality made the project, and you cannot made a dialogue with the other architects, unfortunately. And then it was not the problem of the architects, it was the problem of, how can I say, decoradeiras em... You know the problem
Interior designers?
Yeah,
No, not even so.
The people who are not nothing, but they think they could be better. So
They have good taste.
yes, they have the taste. I don't know what is taste, but
Okay.
No, but that case was important because as she was a teacher there, a kindergarten teacher, she raised the awareness to the other colleagues, the other teachers, and the parents of the children, and the children themselves,
Yes.
because she started making some work
Instrumentalization the poor girls and boys to make fight to the architect.
Is it working? Yes. I have a question because you said there are two things that for me were very interesting about your lecture, or all the lecture, of course. But one is the feedback that the architect wanted to have from the local Macau population in the Ilha Verde, or I don't know if it was Ilha Verde or Tavagnini Barbosa. And the second one is what you mentioned, him being a headstrong architect that just wanted to do his architecture, and how this compare with the body of work, which is very big for an architect, Portuguese architect of the time, and the location of the work. So how a headstrong architect gets the commission that he gets in Portugal and abroad, and how where does the idea of having a survey of how people react to his architecture come from?
Sophia?
I wish I could answer. I have no idea. I don't know if Victor has any idea about the commission. The idea of doing the survey, we couldn't. We there was so many questions we wanted to ask him while we were doing the gathering of the documents to the archive, and we had several talks and several conversations at dinner at his house, and but those questions, at least I have never asked him, so I don't have a clue.
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you something it passed with him and with the Obras Públicas Minister.
Public Works Department.
Somebody goes to him and said, "You're going to make a very important monument, and you write what we want. You write in that monument because the minister is a very important guy." And just to understand the character of this guy.
That was a dinner story at his house. I remember that dinner.
And he said, "No." To the minister, "No, I don't do this. The important is the work, not you do it. It's the work. And don't make a big monument with fine ministers do this and that." No. He made a cylinder of concrete and put the data. And the name of it was a barragem, como é que se diz?
Dam?
A dam.
Dam.
And even the name of the ministers are not there. And they go there and pull the flag of Portugal without his name.
The question is, how did he get the next commission? Because if he treats everybody like that.
No, it's a fantastic, because it's true. And if he's a man with a strong character, and he always said to the right people what he thinks, even in the not good occasions.
Kind way.
Yes. And we hope to preserve his work. We are always, we have time always to help to preserve his buildings, and we go there, help the people. Sometimes are government departments, sometimes are particular persons, and we go and make
a report
and say, "Oh, look, the problem is this. You can make these repairs with these materials. We can come here and help you without cost any money." It's what we can do. It's only this, and we do it in Açores, in Madeira, in Portugal. Here we have good architects, don't we? But let me say one thing. If it's possible to make the context about the Pedro Nolasco opportunity to grow up, do it without problems. But say which place you can do it, not all the school.
Assess the impact.
Huh?
And the impact on Raul, assess previously, you should assess the impact of that intervention by identifying clearly the values of the building and what it's the impact of any intervention on those values.
Maybe you don't know, but there are already some plans from the government, planta de alignamentos, I don't know how to say. So there's some ideas already on how to or where to have these extensions. And actually, Docomomo had the opportunity to provide a report to the government, kind of fine-tuning what was our understanding of the values of the school. And it is, of course, was run also with Docomomo International, so we were in discussion with other specialists, not with you, but now we know to who we should be addressing if any other opportunities arise on this. But I think that's the point of the question of Paulo, because of course there are always some politics around the pressure of the market, because it's a valuable piece of land. We understand that, as you said. So I think the issue here is to find strategies to fulfill the expectations of the owners of the building. In this case, to allow the Portuguese school to develop and to grow, but at the same time, as you said, understand what is the value of the building, and have a clear strategy of letting make use of the building and the surrounding spaces. So I think it was very useful to have this understanding of the work, of the full body of work of the architects.
But also we talk about material values, but we have to talk about immaterial values. Because the school, in that moment, it means a lot about 4 or 5 generations of kids who study there. So the material value here is a very, very strong...
The cultural value. And
it's a very good... it's a... Como é que se diz arma?
weapon.
Very important, because it's it's the way to get the problem to the community. The Porto Santo School escape of a bad use, because all the last 4 generations of Porto Santo is the only school study there. So the people have a relation.
Place attachment. You're talking about place attachment and sense of place, which was in one of the slides that you passed very quickly when we talked about the school, because there was a slide with the disco party in the gymnasium of Pedro Nolasco that we had in the PowerPoint, just to show that people from many generations still have connections to the building, and they use the building differently by doing a party with a disco party or whatever. But the way the building is used, that's why I mentioned the adaptive reuse strategies. It's the use, how people connect to the building, not just the material values, as Victor was clearly
Is the first
highlighting.
memory is the first memory that the people have from his young life is when they are student in that school. So it's very easy to contact the people and say, remember when you are young, where you study. It's a kind of big house for the community. And it's very important to think in the material and the immaterial
values.
And make the people to defend the building themselves. And because if they feel the building belongs to them, they will defend the building, and they will stand with the building, and they will fight, like Victor was saying, for the preservation of these values, I would say.
Last thing is because of that, the way we talk about architecture sometimes is wrong, because we talk from architects to architects. And the value of the buildings, it's not for architects, it's for the people.
The community.
I work for the people, I don't work for the architect. I don't like architects. Okay, because sometimes we forgot the importance of the public
service.
It's very, very important. And we preserve our image, our profession, saying that we work for the people. We don't work for the architect. Okay? We like to work, we like to talk with architects, but we don't work for architects.
And we don't work for clients.
No. Like Chorão Ramalho, he don't like the clients also. He likes what he does. Because the clients of Chorão Ramalho, it's an abstraction. It's not a person. In the houses, the Bianchi house, it's from an Italian family, very important in Madeira. You have a very strong relation with the wife of Mr. Bianchi, because the wife is a very tough person like him. He says all the time, the only person that I struggle against all the time, it was Mrs. Bianchi, because she all the time take the draws of João Ramalho. Don't take this because João Ramalho don't let draw nothing. But said no, Mr. Ramalho, I don't do this. I came to when they are building my house, and I do what I want. And he said, no, you don't. It was a fight all the time, and in the end, you win. It's fantastic. Well, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Sophia.
The last thing, it looks like kitsch, but in memory of João Ramalho, he gave us a tree.
Plumeria.
Plumeria is the most important tree that he have to the end of his life. He have in his veranda a plumeria, and now I go to the San Francisco garden to take these flowers because it's a memory from him. We love him a lot, João Ramalho, and it's his memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Obrigado, Victor.